Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called The Teacher in Room 214. The first kid vanished on a Thursday. Not during class, not after school, not on the walk home. He vanished in the middle of 7th period science while 30 students sat around him. 1 second, Trevor Mays was there, tapping his pencil against his desk and whispering jokes to his friend Isaac. The next second, the lights flickered. And Trevor was gone. No scream, no sound, no open door. Just an empty chair. At first everyone thought it was a prank. The teacher laughed nervously and said, "Okay, Trevor, very funny." But Trevor never came back. The police searched the building for 6 hours. Nothing. No footprints, no blood, no sign he'd ever existed beyond his backpack sitting beside the desk. 3 days later, another student disappeared. That was when the fear truly began. But the nightmare had started weeks earlier. It started beneath Blackwood Middle School. Blackwood Middle sat at the edge of a dying town in southern Ohio, surrounded by woods so thick they blocked sunlight by early evening. The building itself was ancient, built in 1928 with cracked brick walls, rusted pipes, and endless rumors. Kids whispered about hidden tunnels beneath the school. About hearing crying through air vents. About a furnace room no janitor would enter alone. Most stories were fake. At least, that's what everyone believed. Until Connor Hale, Maya Bennett, and Isaac Moreno found the coffin. It happened during detention. Rain hammered against the windows while Mr. Rennick, the vice principal, droned on about responsibility from behind his desk. Connor barely listened. He was too busy watching water drip from the ceiling tiles. "You three are staying until the storm calms down," Mr. Rennick muttered. "Power's unstable." Then the lights went out. The entire room plunged into darkness. Maya jumped. Isaac cursed under his breath. Somewhere deep inside the school came a loud metallic bang. Then another. Connor looked toward the hallway. "Did you hear that?" "Probably pipes," Isaac said. But then came something worse. A dragging sound. Slow. Heavy. Like something enormous being pulled across concrete. Mr. Rennick grabbed a flashlight. "Stay here." The second he disappeared into the hall, Connor stood. "Oh, absolutely not," Maya whispered. "We're checking it out." That's how people die in horror movies. Connor grinned nervously. "Then stay here." Maya rolled her eyes and followed anyway. Isaac muttered, "We're idiots," before joining them. The school hallways looked completely different in darkness. Longer. Wrong somehow. Their flashlight beams shook across old trophies and faded class photos. The dragging sound echoed again. Below them. Connor stopped near a stairwell door marked "Authorized personnel only." The lock hung broken. The smell hit them immediately after opening it. Rot. Wet dirt. And something metallic underneath. Blood. The staircase descended deep underground. Far deeper than a school basement should. The boiler room sat at the bottom. Ancient pipes lined the walls like giant rusted veins. The room hummed with heat. But in the far corner, behind the boilers, something enormous rested beneath a tarp. Connor slowly stepped closer. Maya grabbed his sleeve. "Don't." He pulled the tarp away. The coffin underneath was black wood reinforced with silver metal corners. Strange symbols had been carved across the lid. And there were scratches. Deep ones. as if something inside had tried clawing its way out. Isaac whispered, "We should leave." Then the coffin moved. All three screamed and stumbled backward. A loud thud came from inside. Another. Then silence. Connor shakily aimed the flashlight at the coffin. The lid sat slightly open now. Just an inch. But it had definitely been closed before. Something pale rested in the darkness inside. A hand. The lights suddenly flickered back on overhead. And a voice spoke behind them. "What are you children doing down here?" They spun around. Mr. Volker stood in the doorway. Their history teacher. Tall, thin, perfectly combed black hair. His skin looked strangely pale beneath the fluorescent lights. Connor noticed something odd immediately. Mr. Volker had no flashlight. Yet he'd somehow walked through the pitch-black basement effortlessly. "We heard noises," Maya stammered. Mr. Volker stared at the coffin for a moment. Something unreadable passed across his face. Then he smiled. "Old theater prop," he said calmly. "The school used to host performances decades ago." Connor frowned. That thing moved. Mr. Volker's smile widened slightly. "Old pipes. This building settles." Then his eyes locked onto Connor. And for a split second, Connor saw them change. The pupils became thin black slits. Like an animal's. Connor froze. Mr. Volker stepped closer. "You shouldn't come down here again." His voice sounded different now. Deeper. Hungrier. The next morning, nobody believed them. Not parents. Not police. Not even friends. A vampire coffin. Trevor laughed during lunch. "You guys are insane." Connor leaned forward. "I'm serious." Trevor smirked. "Maybe your teacher sleeps in it because your grades are murdering him." Everyone laughed except Isaac. Isaac kept staring toward the teacher's tables. Toward Mr. Volker, who was already staring back. And smiling. That night, Connor couldn't sleep. Rain battered his bedroom windows while tree branches scraped the roof. At 2:13 a.m., he heard tapping. Soft. Rhythmic. Tap, tap, tap. Connor sat up slowly. The tapping came from outside his window. His stomach tightened. He lived on the second floor. Something moved beyond the glass. A shape. Tall and thin. Connor slowly approached the window. And saw Mr. Volker hanging upside down outside it. Like a spider. His pale face hovered inches from the glass. Smiling. Connor screamed. Mr. Volker's eyes widened unnaturally. Then he vanished into the darkness. Connor's parents searched outside. Nothing. No footprints. No person. No explanation. The next day, Trevor disappeared. The school entered panic almost instantly. Parents flooded the office. Police searched lockers. News crews parked outside. But Connor noticed something strange. Mr. Volker seemed happier. More energetic. Color had returned to his face. And during class, Connor saw him licking blood from the corner of his mouth. That afternoon, Maya found Trevor's phone hidden behind a radiator near the gym. There was one unsent video recorded at 11:48 p.m. The screen shook violently. Trevor's terrified breathing filled the audio. Then the camera pointed upward. A pale face lunged from darkness. Black eyes. Long fangs. Mr. Volker. The video ended with Trevor screaming. Police assumed it was edited. Another prank. Until Isaac disappeared 4 days later. Connor watched it happen. School had ended early because of storms. Only a handful of students remained inside. Connor ran through the hallway searching for Isaac after receiving a text. He knows. That was the entire message. Connor found Isaac near the basement stairwell. Or what was left of him. Isaac stood frozen in the hallway, pale and trembling. 2 bloody puncture wounds marked his neck. His lips moved weakly. He's downstairs. Connor grabbed him. We need help. Isaac's eyes widened in horror. Then his body suddenly jerked backward violently. Something unseen dragged him screaming into darkness. Connor chased after him. The basement lights flickered red. The dragging sounds echoed everywhere now. Connor burst into the boiler room. The coffin stood open. And Isaac hung upside down beside it. Dead. Blood dripped slowly from his fingertips onto the concrete floor. Connor stumbled backward in horror. Then he heard clapping. Mr. Volker emerged from shadows. But he no longer looked human. His jaw stretched too wide. Veins bulged beneath gray skin. His fingers ended in black claws. You should have listened, he hissed. Connor ran. Mr. Volker moved impossibly fast. 1 second he stood across the room. The next, he slammed Connor against a pipe hard enough to crack metal. Connor gasped. Mr. Volker leaned close. His breath smelled like rotting meat. Do you know how long I've hidden here? He whispered. 82 years teaching spoiled children while feeding carefully. Connor noticed photographs covering the wall behind him. Old class pictures. Decades of them. And in every single one, Mr. Volker looked exactly the same. Not aged a single day. You're a monster, Connor whispered. Mr. Volker smiled. Yes. Then the boiler room door exploded open. Maya rushed inside holding a flare gun stolen from the emergency case upstairs. She fired. The flare struck Mr. Volker directly in the chest. He shrieked. Not screamed. Shrieked. An inhuman sound that rattled pipes and shattered lights. His skin ignited instantly. Connor grabbed Isaac's hanging body while Maya dragged him toward the stairs. Behind them, Mr. Volker burned and screamed. But the fire didn't kill him. It only made him angry. The creature burst from flames and lunged after them on all fours. Students fleeing upstairs began screaming. Teachers panicked. Connor looked back once. And wished he hadn't. Mr. Volker's face split open wider than humanly possible. Rows of needle-like teeth filled his mouth. He leapt onto a teacher in the hallway. Blood sprayed across lockers. Kids ran everywhere. The fire alarm screamed. Maya grabbed Connor's arm. Move. They sprinted toward the gymnasium exit. But the hallway lights shut off again. Darkness swallowed everything. Then came the sounds. Crunching bones. Screams. Wet tearing noises. Connor and Maya locked themselves inside the gym storage room. Outside, footsteps moved slowly across the floor. Then stopped outside the door. Silence. Connor held his breath. A voice came through the darkness. Soft, calm. Mr. Volker's voice. You can't leave Blackwood. Something scratched gently against the metal door. I've fed here for generations. Another scratch. You opened my coffin. The door dented inward violently. Maya aimed another flare shell. Connor searched frantically around the room. Basketballs. Mats. Old sports equipment. Then he spotted it. A crate labeled maintenance salt. He remembered the silver symbols on the coffin. Protection symbols. Connor ripped the crate open. "Help me." Together they poured salt across the doorway just as the door burst open. Mr. Volker lunged and slammed into the salt line. Smoke erupted from his skin instantly. He recoiled with a furious shriek. Connor fired the second flare directly into his face. Flames engulfed him again. The vampire screamed and crashed backward into the gym curtains. Fire spread rapidly. Within seconds the entire gymnasium ignited. Connor and Maya escaped through emergency doors as smoke poured into the night sky. Fire trucks arrived minutes later. The school burned until morning. Officials blamed faulty gas lines. They never found Isaac's body. Or Trevor's. Or Mr. Volker's remains. Blackwood Middle was demolished 3 weeks later. Most people eventually moved on. Except Connor. Because 6 months later, he received a package with no return address. Inside was an old yearbook from 1944. Connor flipped through trembling pages until he found the faculty photo. Every teacher looked normal. Except one. Standing in the back row. Pale. Smiling. Mr. Volker. Connor's hands shook. Then something slipped from between the pages. A note. Written in dark red ink. "You left my coffin open." Connor slowly looked toward his bedroom window. And saw a pale face smiling at him from outside the glass.